Hello everyone, back to today's fourth and final video. So it's been a very busy day at GFS. Today we started off with the first spring analogues update. So that video is currently on the homepage and it will be placed on the spring updates page very, very shortly, if it hasn't been already. We also have the GFS Sunday Roundup, as always, your Sunday afternoon eclectic mix of this and that. And then we had a little update about the summer as well, looking at back-to-back hot summers, because of course summer 2018 was very hot, and sort of speculate about whether it's possible to get two hot summers in a row. Could 2019 be a hot summer after the hot summer last year? And the answer is yes, it is possible, but there are a lot of caveats that go with that as well. So have a look at that one and see what you think. This is Ensembles Watch, so we're going to go through all members of the GFS ensembles, including the operational, the control and the parallel, and all the other ensemble members, see what they're all showing going into the second half of February. We looked at the GFS model in the GFS Sunday Roundup, and the upshot was that high pressure is going to be building up towards the middle part of February, but also potentially turning very mild with winds in from the south. But we'll go through all the GFS ensemble members and see how many of them are producing either very mild or cold conditions. We're at westcentral.d, and we're going to go through the ensembles right now. So this is how the latest operational GFS run is looking. We're going to start with all of the charts tonight at 120 hours, which should be just there, Friday the 8th of February. And this is how the operational GFS run was looking tonight on Friday the 8th of February. So unsettled low pressure close to the country. Notice a little bit of high pressures nosing down from the north. That's a slight change on what was shown with the operational GFS runs this morning. Let's run through and see how the operational GFS run develops. So we get to a week away, Sunday 10th of February, and again we've got low pressure close to the country, so it looks quite unsettled. We are trying to pull down some colder air from the north. We've definitely got some minor height rises taking place there around Iceland and Greenland, but they don't really come to anything actually as we go towards Monday the 11th and Tuesday the 12th of February. We strengthen the high pressure across France, Spain, Portugal, start to drag up this very mild southwesterly wind into the extended range with the operational GFS. Low pressure stalling out in the west, high pressure building to our east, so we continue to look very mild here into the second half of February. We're bringing the winds up from a southerly direction. That could easily lift temperatures into the mid-teens Celsius, with a drying trend as well, of course, as high pressure is building both to our south and east. So that's how the operational GFS run was looking tonight. Let's have a look at the ensemble members. I'm going to go to the control, GFS control run next. So this is run at a slightly lower resolution compared to the operational, but a higher resolution compared to all other GFS ensemble members. This is how things are looking on Friday, quite unsettled. We have got a bit of cold air nosing down from the north with this ridge pushing out of Greenland and Iceland into more extended range. Low pressure is moving in across the country, but quite a southerly track, so certainly for northern parts of the country that looks a little bit cold next weekend. Then that low pressure gets out of the way. We build high pressure across the country as we're running up towards day 10. That high pressure is trying to get the wind into the east. We're having a go at getting some easterly winds there, not quite pulling it off. Mainly dry, probably quite cold under that high pressure, I would have thought, with a fair amount of frost and fog possible. We're into a very extended range now, running into the middle part of February. Again, we're trying to get that high pressure up to Scandinavia, not really achieving it, so we just keep high pressure dominating there into the middle and second half of February. A lot of dry, but probably quite cold weather. That does look like quite a cold run from frost and fog. This is ensemble member number 1 with low pressure close to the country on Friday. Looks quite unsettled as we go into the weekend. We keep things looking very unsettled with low pressure churning away from the Atlantic. Notice a bit of a northerly push there on Monday the 11th of February. It's turning a bit colder, and then high pressure setting up to our south as we get to day 10. Then it's going up towards Scandinavia, so this is pulling in easterly winds. Ensemble member number 1 is bringing cold winds from the east, very different to what the GFS operational run is showing. And that's how we finish up on the 19th of February, looking cold and quite wintry, I would have thought, there, with high pressure producing a lot of dry weather, but also plenty of frost. That is ensemble member number 2, low pressure exiting away to the east on Friday, putting down these pretty cold northerly winds. Let's run through, see what happens. Stays very unsettled into next weekend, and pulling down some cold air from the north as well as we go into Monday the 11th. We've got high pressure building across the country, but it is within quite cold air. Heading into more extended range, we keep this high pressure close to us, really, as we're moving into the second half of February, starting to drag up some milder air from the southwest. So a bit of a cold snap at the end of next weekend and into the start of the following week with ensemble member number 2. Number 3 looks like this. Low pressure is close to the country on Friday, and it stays unsettled into next weekend as well. There's that little ridge nosing out of Greenland, starting to turn the wind into the north at the end of next weekend, so we do get a little bit of a cold snap next weekend. Then we build this ridge up across the country, and that brings mainly dry but probably quite cold and frosty weather with that, and we keep that ridge going into the middle and second half of the month. We're trying to get it up towards Greenland there. It's trying to reach northwards. So that's how we finish up on the 19th of February, trying to push that high pressure up towards Greenland, Iceland, trying to pull down some cold air from the north. So far, early days with Ensembles Watch tonight, but so far looking quite interesting with these ensembles, I have to say, and probably a surprise, I would have thought, for quite a lot of you watching this. Low pressure is close to the country next weekend, so it does look unsettled. That low pressure is on quite a southerly track, so certainly for the northern parts of the country, some cold air is digging in. Up to Tuesday the 12th, winds are turning into the north, but only very temporarily, and then we've got high pressure building up from the southwest. But we have got a Scandinavian high building here, and so once again we're trying to set up an easterly wind, not quite pulling it off. We just keep that high pressure close to us, bringing a lot of dry, fine weather, and probably quite cold under that high pressure as well. Probably a fair amount of frost and fog. Not much sign of those long fetched southerly southwesterly winds that the GFS operational runs keep going for at the moment within Ensembles Watch. I have to say, I'm sure we'll get one that shows that in a minute. This ensemble member number 5, low pressure rattling in from the Atlantic next weekend. Looks very unsettled up to next weekend. No northerly with that one, just a push of low pressure from the Atlantic again, bringing those, keeping those westerly winds going through from sort of the 11th, 12th of February. Into the middle part of the month, that high pressure is down to our south, so this one is a milder solution, I think. It is trying to reach to Scandinavia. Anticyclonic relief through the middle and second half of February, possibly some frost and fog, but I think that is a milder option with ensemble member number 5. Ensemble member number 6, low pressure is close to the country on Friday, and it stays unsettled into next weekend as well, with this low pressure heading in through the UK. It's on a bit of a southerly track though, so again we're pulling down some quite cold air as it clears away from the north. Then we get this ridge of high pressure building across the country. Turning winds into the east, not particularly cold easterly, but that's a fairly cold ridge, I have to say. It would be producing quite a lot of frost and fog, and it looks like that high pressure is trying to get itself northwards again. So it's another one that's trying to set up a proper cold spell, not quite achieving it. Just keep that high pressure very close to us, probably bringing a fair amount of dry, frosty, foggy weather through the middle and second half of February. That's ensemble member number 7. Low pressure clearing away into the North Sea. We're turning winds into the north on Friday as high pressure noses out to Greenland and Iceland. The high pressure does look quite strong on this run, so quite cold actually with northerly winds next weekend. That's a bit different compared to what we've been seeing so far. But then we're going up towards day 10, and that high pressure is collapsing into central parts of Europe as the Atlantic is pushing in. So this is a very different one. It looks very unsettled around the middle part of February. Notice, though, we are in the second half of February trying to reach that high pressure Scandinavia, not quite achieving it, just keeping high pressure very close to the country by Tuesday the 19th of February. Ensemble member number 8, low pressure is dominating next weekend, bringing unsettled conditions, and as that low pressure is on an increasingly southerly track, looking a little bit cold for the north. No real northerly, though, with this one And we're into the extended range on ensemble member number 8, and it's going a bit colder. Winds are turning into the north temporarily for high pressure bills across the country, bringing mainly dry and settled weather. We can see a clear trend here towards higher pressure around the middle part of February. It's just where that high pressure is sitting. This is ensemble member number 9, with again high pressure nosing out of Greenland and Iceland, turning the wind into the north on Friday. So as early as Friday, we've got big differences within these ensemble members. Then low pressure is trying to come in from off the Atlantic, but it's fighting against that cold air. It's having a bit of a struggle, I have to say. Moving up towards day 10. Pressure is rising across the country. It's trying to build up towards Scandinavia as well. So this one's having a really good go at setting up an easterly wind. Again, doesn't quite come off that Scandinavian high. And so we just keep the high pressure sitting around the UK, producing a lot of dry, frosty and quite cold conditions. Ensemble member number 10, halfway through these ensemble members, show unsettled conditions on Friday with low pressure across country. That unsettled weather stays with us into next weekend. This one is also raising heights to our south. This one, first one we've seen really in line with the operational up to day 10, bringing up these very mild southwesterly winds. We're going into extended range, and the high pressure veins pushing northwards. It's going up towards Scandinavia. So after that initial mild push of southwesterly winds, actually it's turning colder here, and we're going up to the end of the ensemble member number 10, and we're pulling in the wind from the east with high pressure increasingly setting up over Scandinavia. So that's setting up an easterly. Don't think we have to go many more days beyond that to be pulling in bitterly cold air from the east. This is ensemble member number 11, looking unsettled and stormy next weekend, keeping things pretty unsettled as we're going up towards day 10. This one's bringing up winds from west-southwesterly direction, so relatively mild. It's building heights to the south as well, so this is a very mild ensemble member number 11, in line with what the operational GFS runs keep showing at the moment. High pressure becomes centrally located over the UK, so probably frost and fog increasing there into the second half of February under that high pressure. Ensemble member number 12, unsettled over on Friday and into the weekend with low pressure churning away in the Atlantic, actually looking quite stormy as that low pressure clears away on Monday the 11th. Then high pressure's ridging through the UK and centering to our east. It had a go at setting up an east, didn't quite pull it off, but this one is taking the high pressure out into the Atlantic and retrogressing it towards Greenland. So a very cold northerly wind then starts to plunge down across the country through the second half of February. That's how we finish up, looking poised potentially to be setting up a prolonged cold spell. Just need to take that high pressure a little bit further north and centre it over Greenland. This is ensemble member number 13. Low pressure is close to the country on Friday. Looks quite unsettled, relatively mild conditions into the weekend as well. And this one is in line with the operational GFS run. Has those very mild southwesterly winds continuing with high pressure across southern parts of Europe into the extended range. This takes us up into the second half of the month. Look about very mild southwesterly winds bathing the UK in really mild air from the Canary Islands with high pressure across central southern parts of Europe. That's how we finish up. Still looking very mild. No cold snaps at all with ensemble member number 13. Ensemble member number 14 takes a low pressure away to our east on Friday. We try to nose this little ridge down from Greenland and Iceland. And that's trying to turn things a bit colder as well into next weekend. We've got low pressure close to the country. Might give some snow to northern parts of the country as that high pressure nosing out of Greenland and Iceland. A little bit beyond day 10, looking unsettled, trying to take that high pressure up towards Scandinavia, but not pulling it off. Everything's driving in from off the Atlantic with ensemble member number 14. That's another pretty mild one. Ensemble member number 15 showing again low pressure close to the country at the end of the week into next weekend. More low pressure is rattling through, keeping things very unsettled. That's taking us up to day 10. So again, not as much height arises across southern Europe with this one. So potentially this one could go a little bit cold in the extended. Yes, it is. Look, we're taking that high pressure instead up to the north of the UK between sort of Scotland and Iceland, bring winds in from the north. And this is setting up a genuine northern blocking feature, actually. Look at that big ridge over Iceland and Greenland and pulling in very cold and snowy weather from the east and from the northeast of ensemble member number 15. I think that's the wintriest ensemble member that we've seen so far for the second half of February. That's really blocked and very cold, number 15. Number 16 looks like this. Low pressure again close to the country as we're going into the weekend and through to Tuesday, 12th of February. Again, we've got high pressure building up from the south then, taking us out of that unsettled spell of weather. We're having a go at getting that high pressure up towards Scandinavia. Don't quite pull it off, so it just continues to sit around the UK up to the 19th of February. Probably quite cold under that ridge, producing a fair amount of frost, I would have thought. And it looks like it's having a go again to ridge up towards Greenland and Iceland. So that finished poised potentially turn things colder. This is number 17. And again, ensemble member number 17 looks very unsettled next weekend. That low pressure clears away to the east and turns the winds into the north. And then we get this ridge building close to the country. Up to day 10, a lot of high pressure domination going on, bringing probably quite dry but cold conditions. And then into the second half of February, again, we take that high pressure out to our west, start to pull down these colder winds from the north again. This is ensemble member number 18, low pressure close to the country on Friday, and we keep low pressure churning away across the UK into next weekend. What is an unsettled but quite cold weekend next weekend, probably cold enough in the north anyway, for a little bit of snow, would you believe. Then we go towards day 10 with high pressure continue to be very close to the country, and it's ridging up towards Scandinavia then. So this one is having another really good go at turning the wind into the east. In fact, it does pull off some easterly winds. Ensemble member number 18. We've got easterlies there around the middle part of February. Not sure how cold they are, but certainly it looks pretty cold and increasingly blocked, that one. And again, it's trying to get that high pressure up towards Greenland and Iceland. This is quite a surprise, I have to say, compared to what the operational GFS runs have been showing recently. It just goes to show you shouldn't always rely just purely on the operational GFS runs. You do have to sometimes delve deeper, and we are seeing much more in way of wintry options on the table here within the GFS ensembles tonight. Ensemble member number 19, low pressure is close to the country up to next weekend. Notice this ridge though, it's all around the end of the coming week with this ridge that's building around Greenland and Iceland. So this low pressure is moving through the UK on a southerly track. We are probably cold enough for snow there across Scotland next weekend with those east winds. And as that low pressure clears out of the way, there we go, putting down cold air from the north across all parts of the country by Tuesday, the 12th of February. Then we've got this ridge trying to build up from the southwest. That doesn't come off, so low pressure just keeps battering us from off the Atlantic. That's a very unsettled and stormy one. But to be honest, I don't think we should be looking any further than next weekend, really. That's when the changes are taking place within the model output, with this ridge nosing out of Greenland and Iceland. Finally, ensemble member number 20 looks like that. Low pressure is close to the country next weekend. Looks very stormy actually there. Saturday 9th of February, next Saturday, looks really unsettled with that, and that brings severe gales. That low pressure clears out of the way. We've got that ridge trying to pull cold air down from the north, but this one is raising heights to the south. Ensemble member number 20 is bringing up mild air from the Atlantic, and that's definitely ending these ensembles on a milder note. Although right at the very end, there we are on Tuesday the 19th February, looks like we're about to reach that high pressure up towards Greenland and Iceland, but that is a milder one up to that point. Finally, this is how the parallel GFS run is looking. So eventually the parallel run will become the operational GFS. It was supposed to happen in January last month, but because of a shutdown, they haven't moved it over yet to become the operation run, but it will do very shortly, I would think. Next weekend, looking unsettled. Low pressure is pushing in across the country. Notice again, we've got these heights rising around Greenland and ice and relatively weakly, but enough to be pulling the winds into the north and the northeast. So this is colder for the 12th of February. Definitely no long fetch southwesterly. And look at this, we're starting to take that high pressure to Scandinavia, and we're starting to pull in cold easterly winds here on around day 10 with the parallel GFS runs. This is bringing in an easterly. Again, not sure how cold it is, but certainly probably cold enough for snow showers in the east. And then the parallel run keeps things pretty cold actually into the second half of February. The Atlantic is going to try and push in there on the 19th, but how successful it is as it comes up against the cold air is we have to wait and see. It's speculative. The last thing I can show you is the ensemble graph, so we can see how that's looking. Last place we looked at was Glossop in Derbyshire, so we'll just have a very quick look for Glossop, see what options we've got on the table tonight. So look at that, a huge amount of scatter. That it really is quite bizarre what we're seeing there. So up to the weekend, up to next weekend, reasonably good agreement, but then it's from around sort of the 10th, 11th of February onwards. Look how warm, and I do say warm, some of those ensemble members are. They're going, some of the warmest are going up to 10 Celsius. These ones here at 850 HPA. On the other hand, some of them are absolutely going into the freezer there. Some of them are going underneath minus 10 Celsius at 850 HPA. So tremendous amounts of uncertainty here about what's going to happen as we get really from next weekend onwards, and then moving into the middle part of February. Tremendously uncertain what's going to happen. And it all hinges, initially anyway, on this ridge that's trying to nose out of Greenland and Iceland. How much does that build? Because it's a new feature. We wasn't really seeing this within the model output yesterday. It's just beginning to appear within the model output today. This little ridge that's building out of Greenland and Iceland at the end of this week and into next weekend. How strong does that get? How far southwards does it push the jet stream and those areas of low pressure? If it pushes them far enough south, we can forget long fetch southerly and southwesterly winds, bringing up tropical air from the middle of the Atlantic or wafting up air out of the Mediterranean, and we'll be looking instead at cold northerly or northeasterly winds, and just seeing how scattered those ensembles are. I think it's basically unforecastable from next weekend at the moment. We're just going to have to sit tight and wait and see where this is going. But if you thought winter was over, think again. We've got plenty of time left for cold weather, and you certainly, after tonight's Ensembles Watch, you certainly won't want to be ruling out the chance of at least another pretty big bite of winter at some point in the middle or second half of February. So watch your space is the message from Ensembles Watch tonight. Right, don't forget to check out all the other videos that we've released today. We've done 4 videos today, so it's been a really, really busy day here at GFS. Tomorrow, we're going to have the February month-end forecast, a bit late with that, but that'll be with you, first video up tomorrow, and we'll have a week to 10-day video update as well. Will things be any clearer in terms of where we're going for the second week of February and moving up to the middle part of the month? We'll find out tomorrow. That's all for now, and thanks for watching.